This is empty. This is empty. There's nothing in it. It says cappuccino. I'd like it to be like maybe some wine. So, wow. So much for that one. I am Angela Brandt. Welcome to the Homegirl channel on YouTube. Chris Banyay, thank you for being here today. Chris is with Prime Lending, and I love when he's on the show because he is such an amazing expert on anything that I ask him to talk about, and he's always been a great supporter of our show. We are going to do a little follow-up from one of our earlier segments on credit scores. We talked a little bit about Fair Isaac Corporation and that your credit score was pretty much determined by two dudes from Stanford in 1956 working with these things called algorithms. We also learned that billions of transactions worldwide every day are made based on that ridiculous number between 320 and 850. Are those the right numbers? Mm-hmm. I remembered something about what I talked about. So, Chris, people come into you every day. I send them to you, I know my clients do, and they have no clue what their credit score is, and they want to buy a house. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing they should do?
The first thing is, you're exactly right, send them into a mortgage lender, because there are a lot of different avenues that you can go to pay to see your credit score, or your American Express. You can get your credit score monthly. Some of the other Visas and MasterCards you can as well. But that's a consumer score. That's not a true FICO score, which is what we use as a mortgage lender. So
let me stop you right there. So a lot of people go out to places like, and I don't want to slam anyone, but sure, those pay-per-click or pay things, those sites that aren't really. What's the legitimate site to go to if you want to pull your credit score?
I believe, and you can double check with this one, I believe it's annualcreditreport.com.
We did. We verified that before we started, just so you know, because that's how we do things on this show.
So that's the site I would go to. That's going to give you a representative point in time. Now, that's not a three-bureau merge, which is what I, as a mortgage lender, will get. So I'm going to pull three different scores, and I'm going to use the middle score out of the three.
Okay, now, when you say you're going to pull these three scores, where do they come from? Is there just three places? Are there five places? Where do you pull these scores from?
We work with a third-party vendor that pulls the scores from the major bureaus.
Okay.
So Fair Isaacs, TransUnion, and Experian, we'll pull those three into and we'll put it all together on one individual report.
Okay. So now you've pulled all this. I've gone out to what we decided it was. What did we decide that website was?
Annualcreditreport.com.
Annualcreditreport.com, yes. I've gone out there and I have my score and I'm sitting at 610. Mm-hmm. And I come in to see you and say, Chris, I want to buy a house.
Okay. Well, and you're doing the right thing by stopping to visit with me first. My first response would be, we need to work on your score a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to go actually pull the true credit score through the three bureaus, and I'm going to be able to analyze that. Now, we have different tools. All lenders use different tools, but they're through their third-party repository that they use. We have one that's called Credit Expert. So I can plug in numbers. I can take a look at your what your credit score is and what we need it to be. So let's say we need to get you from a 610 to a 640. I can run a what-if scenario that says, if I pay down this credit card by X dollars, this one by Y, pay off this collection, have this judgment removed, my score will go up by Y. And then if I sit down with you and I'll show this to you, I'll say, these are the steps. And if you follow these steps, realistically, you could be a home buyer in as little as 30 days.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. What if someone has come to you and said, okay, I've pulled my credit report and I went and I paid somebody to repair my credit?
Mm-hmm. I say, gosh, I wish you'd have seen me first.
Why?
There are legitimate companies that will do things. They know how to, for lack of better terms, how to work the system. Okay. So if you have a judgment that's outstanding, or maybe a collection or a lien or something like that, what they'll do is they'll go on your behalf. First, they'll look and see if it's a legitimate item. Okay. And if it's not legitimate, then they'll give whoever the creditor is 30 days to remove that. And by law, they have to. They'll also go to a lender, or they'll go to a creditor, typically a collection agency, and say, okay, Chris owes $2,000 for this collection, but if he gives you $750 today, will you delete it? Not just clear it up, but delete it. It's called pay for deletion. That's going to dramatically help your credit score.
Okay, so I can have one of these companies pay Pay for deletion. That is a term that I've never heard. So that's amazing. I've never heard of that before.
I've added value today then.
You have so added value. See, one of the things on my list of things to do every day is to learn something new. And in this interview, I've learned at least 7 different things that are just new to me. Okay, that's fabulous. So, we come in. We've got our credit score up to 640. We can buy a house. I know some lenders out there will go as low as 620. Usually, when you find a lender that can do something, that can do a mortgage with their credit score being a tad bit lower, you pay for that as a borrower.
You do. You pay for it in the interest rate. For example, at my company, I can do a loan, an FHA loan with a credit score as low as 600. But there are additional overlays because when your credit score is 605, there's additional risk for me as a mortgage lender.
Absolutely.
So I have to analyze things a little bit tighter than I would, let's say, compared to a 700 FICO score.
Well, I'd love to have a 700 FICO score.
So we need to have, we'll take a look at your debt to income ratios. We can't deviate from the set numbers that FHA has. On a 750 FICO score, I can go 52, 54% total DTI, but I'm going to be limited to 45% or even 43% if you've got a credit score below 620.
Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to ask you about while we're here today is this term called overlays. There's the government overlay, and then there's my company overlay, and there's this risk overlay. What are we building? Like a 7-layer dip? What are these overlays that we talk about?
That's probably the best example you can give. So we're going to have credit standards or guidelines that are handed to us by the agency, whether it's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or Ginnie Mae, which is FHA or VA.
Okay.
So we're going to follow their guidelines, but different companies are going to take a look at that risk differently. So for example, my company might say, okay, I'm okay with the guidelines that were presented to me from FHA.
Okay.
You might have another lender that says, you know what, we think that's still a little bit too loose for our company, so we're going to add what we call overlays to it.
So if I hear you correctly, let's strip all these extra overlays away. The federal government, you mentioned Freddie Mac, Ginnie Mae, who am I missing?
FHA.
FHA.
Yeah.
So their guidelines are actually pretty loose, and it's the lending institutions themselves will stack on other overlays.
Yes. The reason for that is the guidelines are loose, but they're written in crayon.
Oh.
So the guideline might say X, but if I follow that guideline and then the auditor audits the file and says, yeah, we don't think you quite hit X, they can make me buy back that loan. So as a lender, if I want to protect myself from having to buy that back, which would harm my bank's balance sheet or my mortgage company's balance sheet, I want to make sure that I'm making a loan that is completely 100% saleable to that agency. Some lenders will take additional risk versus other ones.
Gotcha. Okay. What are some other great things you can tell us about credit? I will see some folks every now and again that say to me, "But Angela, I only have one credit card and I pay it off every month. I'm 23, 25 years old, and I was told that I don't have enough credit."
Okay.
I have no idea what that means, and I sort of give them that, I don't know what that means either. Sure. Let's go talk to a lender.
Sure. Having credit it's difficult to get a loan without credit. So for example, I have a son who's a junior in college. He had no credit history. I went back and added him as an authorized user on a credit card that I've had since 1986. So what that does is that looks at that credit card.
I think some of our clients weren't even born in 86.
Well, I know, exactly. So what that does is that establishes his credit history from 1986, even though he was born in 1994. So
all right, now wait, hold on for 1 second.
Isn't that crazy?
Boom.
Yeah.
You've had a credit since 1986. Your son, who's a
junior in
college,
yep.
You went back on that card, added him, so his credit, established credit, will start from even before he was even born.
Before when he was born. Yep. Now you need to make sure that it's with a lender who will also report that authorized user. So for example, mine was with a major money center bank. I called them first and said, here's what I want to do. I want to help my son establish credit. So I'm going to add him to this, but do you guys report to the major bureaus for authorized users? The answer is yes. Now as an authorized user, he isn't required to make the payments. The payments are still on me. But unfortunately, as an authorized user, he also ends up getting Amsterdam falafel and things like that late night. So I end up paying for those as well.
There's nothing wrong with Amsterdam falafel late at night because it's right there by the little great wine bar. But let's not talk about that. We're talking about some serious things here. So at the end of the day, it's very important to obviously take care. I always tell people your credit score is pretty much like oxygen. And I say that in a way that it's pretty serious business. And if you've screwed it up, there's still hope.
Yes.
If you've screwed it up, there is nothing that you can't repair. That repair could be 3, 6, 9 months. And you had mentioned that you've been working with some folks for a couple of years with their credit, and
Yep.
now they're buying a house.
Yeah, and it was a very difficult credit situation. There was a foreclosure and a bankruptcy involved, but we put them on a path to homeownership. And again, when I sit down with somebody, I say, what's your goal? Is your goal to buy a house? Because if it is, I can help you get there.
I have this great little it's a cheat sheet that I found, how to save $5,000 in a year for a house. And correct me if I'm wrong on my numbers, but I have this, and I've given it to quite a few of my people, and oh my gosh, Angela, this has been so, you deposit money every week, and it's pretty neat. You pay into this account every week, and it's all these different crazy amounts, but truly at the end of 52 weeks, you have $5,000. Correct me if I'm wrong, that $5,000 is a 3.5% down payment on a $140,000 house.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and as a first-time home buyer in the state of Nebraska, we have programs where you can buy a house with as little as $1,000 down.
I know, that's a whole different show. You want to talk about that?
That'll be the next episode.
Okay, because I think you're pretty swell.
No.
He's got a great wife too, and he loves hockey, and we all know that I'm a hockey mom, so we have a lot of fun. Chris, thank you for all of your expertise. Thank you for always being here with us. Thank you for putting up with me and some of my clients, because we're pretty needy. I think it was texting you at 11 o'clock last night, and I realized what time it was, and I went, ooh, that's probably not going to be really good, considering I was asking him to come here today and shoot the show. My name is Angela Brandt. I am your homegirl, answering your real estate questions and hopefully helping you get on the right path to home ownership. Join us next week. Subscribe somewhere on here. Go see Chris. He's going to be in our little red book, which is not in the box, of people to go to. He'll be on my website. He'll be on the YouTube channel. Until next time, just keep your credit safe and secure and like in your pocket or something. Thanks for being here.